One, for example, I didn't do it, but it was a joke. I ran to press this button to make other cars wait, and I wasn't crossing the street, I was going this way. But if I wanted to obstruct traffic, I'd press these buttons. It's like someone on the elevator when they press all the buttons on the elevator and then they don't even use it and they walk away. They took away time from all those people. We're trying to find what nutrients are having time that can upswing my under the weather. I think these geese are communing with me because they see my backpack's big and I'm walking with a waddle, and that's what they have, big backs and they walk with waddles, and so they're all trying to contact me and say, hey, we know that you're similar to us. So I think I jinxed myself. Yesterday I said that I didn't like feeling comfortable with things getting put on me as if there was like a hitbox and then that was being read and registered by a scanner and a QR code. The very next day I succumbed to a bacterial that is not resistant but an irritant. And it's irritant because I feel as though it's pinching the back of my throat and twisting it. I was thinking, what if it closed it? And that's a real life scenario. This would be a perfect moment for Fauci to pop out behind this rock and say, see, I told you to trust the science. Now it doesn't feel too good, does it? I like to speak on throat closings because that's real. My throat is inflamed and it can flare up like a balloon, closing my windpipe. This is what happened to Sigmund Freud in his nasal cavity because he did too much cocaine. And in the USA, back in the day, with the Wild Wild West, you'd go into a bar and you could order a line in a bar. And Sigmund Freud, I think, was in that same era, and he did so much of it and a whole bunch of crazy other things that are illegal nowadays, where his nasal cavity shut and they had to cut it with a knife. And that reminds me of mummifications where they stuck rods up noses in order to pull brains out. It's like a lobotomy, except you're pulling an entire brain out of your nose with a rod. But the throat, if my throat flared up so bad I couldn't breathe, it would have to be cut with a knife. And I never want to be a cutthroat. Never want to be a cutthroat. I never want to be told what to wear, how to look, and when I can go outside. The easy way of doing this would be to corporatize everything. And so if you don't meet the standards, you don't have a life. And unfortunately, when January 4th rolls around, the Sergeant General, President Joseph Biden, will be ordering his 53rd executive order, it's probably more than that, in order to mandate all businesses to abide in the state. If you have above 100 people, you're gonna have to sign a mandate or quit. And again, I keep jinxing myself. I don't want to be told what to wear. I'm about to go into a church, whereas I can't wear horns into a church, so I'm gonna have to cover it up as best as I can. I'll be looking like a fruitcake today, but I'd rather wear the scarf than have it be looked at as horns in church that are on fire. A residual effect has to turn with inertia. There's always an option when a particle hitting another option has to recoil, and with this effect is undeniable evidence that in turn an outside influencer has encumbered an internal structure. Thanks for watching. And the arenas have all different structures. They weren't even labeled what different things could be in the arena. It's no different than in war, and in war you want the higher ground because then you have an aerial effect and a bird's eye view, which are both great advances. When you have leverage, you're above and on an offense. That's why the boards are so strong, because everyone under them is insubordinate, meaning that they're in a board and they're subpar being under it. And so with the different shapes of aerials, they could be much different than the ground game. And the ground game usually gets blindsided because of the leverage you have, because within the arena it's all about inertia of the residuals effect. And when you're having leverage, it's always from above, or else you have a strong hold on the ground, which is like best seen as a bunker, meaning in StarCraft it's like a pentagon, or in Washington DC is a pentagon. And in doing so, they're categorically shuffling through a catalog of different elements, all upon the element table. And until they're stable, you don't know which one they are, or within the nucleus, it's also undergoing the same effect. Or in the stable structure, it's just like a giant spring. The more that they're unstable, the more likely the spring is to pop off and break, according to Hooke's law. The orifice is, of course, an entire arena, and you can pick apart if you're nitpicking, but an all-encumber collective would be the interior from the walls. There's a lot of great things that are considered hitboxes, and if it has a wall about it, it's a system, and there's plenty of them when encumbered with things in the interior. And if it's closed, they're all in an inert effect, having residual motion off of each other when induced within the walling. And so this is why atoms capitalize off misses, because the electrons are always firing and disappearing in different levels. So their walls are reappearing and like a on and off switch, disappearing. I've been video capturing foliage, and there's a few pictures I'd like to share with you. But first, let's enamor and take a look at closely this evergreen behind me, as its thistles are waning. I thought evergreens didn't wane with their thistles, but it's clear as day that this sucker has half and half being sucked out. That is, of course, its hydration from in the Bible. It says that good trees give off good fruit and bad trees give off bad fruit. Both the differentiation is on its face, or at least you can look at the leaves and read if the leaves are corroded, and then how well that they're encumbering the differentiations of the stems to the leaf material. If there's strong stems, they'll be bold, but if they're lackluster, the stemming will be a residual effect. Has to turn with inertia. There's always an option when a particle hitting another option has to recoil, and with this effect is undeniable evidence that in turn an outside influencer has encumbered an internal structure. Thanks for watching.